pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have roll call?
Yes, we do.
All right, I would look for a motion to approve the open and closed session minutes of the revised regular board meeting of March 18th, 2024. The open and closed minutes of special board meeting April 2nd, 2024, and the open and closed minutes of special board meeting on April 8th, 2024.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Mr. Kelsey, second by Mrs. Swenson. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Do we have any community appearances?
We did not on the sheet.
Okay. And we'll move on to the approval of bills for payment.
Okay, I would make a motion to approve vouchers, monthly wire transfers, and checks in the total of $1,852,203.82, and also Fund 49 capital projects this month in the amount of $834,571.52 for a grand total of $2,686,775.34. I would need a second on that, please.
Okay, motion by Dr. Malcolm, second by Mr. Poppy. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, then we'll move on to Learn Like a King.
We do not have A, B, or C today.
So that's Learn Like a King, the Hefty grants, or Collecting Day Like a King. And then
Correct.
we'll move on to our executive committee where we approved tonight's agenda. And we can move on to facilities committee.
Thank you, Mr. Hand. The Facilities Committee met on Tuesday, April 2nd, here in this room. We went over and approved the minutes of the March 4th Facilities Committee meeting. There were no community appearances, no old business, and the new business. The Buildings and Grounds report from Mr. Bemis was that he's working with CISA 10 to update the safety and security assessment, working with Ms. Frank to target year-end needs for the 23-24 budget cycle. And moving boxes have been distributed to building principals with moving instructions for June 1st construction takeover. We also had a building project update. In the high school, the temporary walls went up today. Kids are flexible with all the changes. We discussed his recommendations for WIA and Heart of the North trophies and plaques. He thought they could be displayed in the new fitness facility to allow the community the opportunity to see them. He also is considering a Champions Corner near the history board, the Hall of Fame, and the college-bound area. All are to be determined once the construction is complete. The committee gave him permission to box up the awards for future placement. The building project budget, the current budgets were attached to the building docs. And the community partnership update, Mr. Olson had 3 meetings with local business. One is interested in being a super anchor. There's also the possibility of a super anchor from out of town. He recommends having Daktronics promote the new scoreboard anchor spots, and then we adjourned.
Any questions? Now we'll move on to policy.
Policy also met on April 2nd. The first item on our agenda of new business was Neola updates, and Mr. Olson and Mimi, I assume, met with our representative Scott Brown to go over the new updates, and then we adjourned.
Any questions? Move on to curriculum.
Curriculum also met April 2nd. There was no community business appearances, no old business, new business. They reviewed and approved the Stallage. I'm going to start over. Thank you. Review and approve the Start College Now application. One student has applied to take 2 classes in the fall, and motion was made to recommend to the full board to approve the Start College Now application. The 24-25 LCO Head Start contract, Mrs. Frank has noted that the official contract is not ready yet, but she has verbal communication that LCO will continue their support, including the 5-day programming. They are increasing the maximum student contracts from 38 to 58, along with supporting the 4K program, not just the wraparound program. So the total hours will be 1,020. And that was recommended to move to the full board also. The 23-24 school calendar update, Mr. Olson is recommending shortening the 23-24 calendar by 1.5 days for students. The proposal would change from students attending May 28th through the 31st to May 28th through the 30th, with the 30th dismissal at 1 p.m. This will allow staff to finish the move out and construction to begin on June 1st. There has been a lack of snow days this year, and Mr. Olson would like to schedule nice days for the students. Nice days.
Absolutely.
You made me put that in there.
No, yes.
Grant and curriculum updates, Mrs. Ryder reported that testing is in full swing. ACT scores are being released. Northern Waters was awarded a Department of Agricultural grant to partners with farmers for soil research. They're waiting to hear if they were awarded the Community Learning Center grant, which would be used to support the before and after school program. There is worry from parents that this program would not be sustained if we don't receive the grant. Mr. Olson and Mr. Ryder assured the committee that the program will continue regardless of the grant award. Mr. Olson is paying for it. I think that's what I'm
Thank you.
Sorry, it's warm out, so it feels like we should all be spunky, but possible alternatives for funding include running the program through the community ed program with fees charged. There will be a family reading night on April 24th at the primary school. This is free for families and dinner will be served. Children will receive a free book and other goodies. And then we adjourned. Oh, I'm sorry. Review and approve summer school program for 2024. Motion to recommend to the full board, and then we adjourn.
Any questions on the curriculum committee? That will move on to finance.
Finance met last Thursday, April 11th at 4 p.m. After getting all the invoices, we had a number of items, a number of which of these are action items tonight. The first is we had the designated delegate to the Northern School District Trust. That's where we get our dental insurance from. That's part of CISA 12, and one of us has to go up there each year. I've done it once or twice, but Jen Frank has volunteered to do that. I'm so grateful. And so we nominated her to be our delegate again this year. And that's an action item to have her be our delegate to that trust meeting, which I think is about a month away. The second action item that we discussed, which is now an action item on today's meeting, is looking at substitute pay for the 24-25 school year. We did substantially increase teachers' substitute pay about 3 years ago to $150 for a full day and $80 for a half day. But we're keeping that the same. But we're looking at teacher aides, special ed aides, secretary, admin, assistant, and custodian. We want to bump them all 50 cents an hour. And also it involves athletics, ticket taking, and supervisory hourly rate. We're keeping that the same. So that's an action item later. Also, teacher hourly rate is going up just, there's been a pay raise, and it's just reflective of that hourly pay rate that they would get for hourly rate. So that's an action item. The next item to run over is the co-curricular salary schedule. And this year, about 4 or 5 years ago, we realized we were substantially behind in what we were paying most of our coaches and academic assistants too. So we tried to raise our rates and to be more compatible or competitive with our surrounding districts. And since then, we've had a 1-2% increase each year. We're proposing a 1.5% increase this year. That's in the packet also. That's an action item. Additionally, in the middle school, we're looking at adding 2 positions. One for the Battle of the Books Middle School, $1,129 for the year for the advisor that does that. And also the technology club in middle school has been very, very busy, and it's been a good thing. And we're looking at adding that. That's been an unpaid position before, so that's the $1,129 also. The middle school store doesn't really do much. It's not really operational, is my understanding. And that was a position that we paid for before, and we're actually eliminating that. So that's a proposal, action item for us to look at a little bit later tonight also. The next, and Stacy touched on it, the LCO Head Start Memorandum of Understanding. It's a 4-page document. It's a little bit complex, But basically, it's going, as Stacy said, to 5 days instead of 4 days. It's 4 sessions. This year's 3 sessions, 2 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon. Now it's going to be 4 sessions, 2 in the morning and 2 in the afternoon. Up to 17 kids each section, so it'll be 68 kids that we can support there. And they're also upping what they cover in terms of additional staffing. We looked at it favorably. If there's questions, it's somewhat a complex document to understand, so Jen can explain that. That's an action item a little bit later in this meeting. The next item, also an action item, is the summer school staff. Just one school this year because all the other schools are under construction. So this year it's just been K through 5 because we don't really have too much access to the other buildings. So 218 kids right now tentatively signed up. And so that's an action item for us to approve also. We had ESER 3, we had to submit documents for that, but actually ESER 3 website has been down, so it's been hard for us to do that, so we actually deferred that to next month. And then the last item is just information. We're looking at changing our credit card processing vendor. We're with someone right now, it's called eFunds, and there's significant delays in them processing the credit card payments we receive. What do we use that for? We use that for food services. We use that for, we're planning on using it for the community ed program. If you're signing up and paying for stuff through the community ed program, we're looking at the school store, especially when you're buying apparel. We do incorporate the credit card fees in the prices, so we don't add them on like a lot of businesses are doing now. We sort of eat the fees or try to look at that. So we're looking at changing to a company that Skyward recommends, and that would help speed up where if a family's making a payment, we actually have the proceeds to use. This is just information that's in evolution that's going to happen. Jen, when is that?
Probably in August.
In August, so it happens this summer. And I guess we'll have more information down the road. That item's only information, it's not an action item, then we adjourn.
Any questions on the finance committee? Now we'll go on to the Hazel report.
Are you taking seated? I feel like it's weird to see that we're so close. So I'm just gonna proceed unless you tell me otherwise. So we had, the board of directors met on March 19th, and at the meeting, we approved the vouchers. The board went, before we had the administrator update, she told us about enrollment. Of course, our open enrollment for the state of Wisconsin is currently open right now. And I know that Mimi and Kim have been working very closely together to get all of those enrollments processed before our date of May 15th. We are in full-fledged of testing, just like the district's buildings are as well. And our student council put on a Wisconsin trivia night. That was a pretty good success. It was a fundraiser for them. We also had a bar dance that was really fun, complete with a caller and everything, and it was a family-friendly event. And because we have so many graduates this year with so many enthusiastic people in their lives that want to witness this event, we are moving our graduation from the Hazel facility, and it will be at the Sawyer County Fairgrounds. So that's been really fun to add. We had a couple of staff members who resigned at the end of this year. We approved the 2024-25 school calendar, and we did have a termination of a student, which is rare and unfortunate. And then we went on with our board election nominations, as our board election is happening in June. With that, the meeting was concluded, and our next meeting is taking place tomorrow at 11 o'clock at our library. Everyone is welcome to attend. And I do have one final update, and that's that we did have a student who received on their ACT. So Neil Doones was able to accomplish a 36, and that's a big deal. So we're pretty stoked about that. Any questions at all?
I do have a question.
Yeah.
Did Neil take any classes over here, like calculus or
He did
any
not.
classes in high school? Wowzer, that's impressive.
His mother, if you know Malu,
Yeah.
she's a smart woman, so yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, then we'll move on to CISA 12, Board of Control.
CISA 12 met March 19th up in Ashland at 6 p.m. The biggest issue that's replicable here is there's Act 20, which I didn't even know about. I don't know if other people know about that. That's a Wisconsin Right to Read Act. It's requiring, I believe, all teachers and, K through 3 to have 40 hours of training about reading. It's all teachers are required to start that by, I think, July 1st of 25, so there's time for that to happen. That's going to be rolled out through CISA 12 to the districts. And so we discussed that, I guess, when we look at reading scores for many districts across the state, they fall in considerably. That's something that the Wisconsin state government has done. I actually had not heard about it before that discussion up there. And that's really the most pertinent thing for the meeting. Next meeting's tomorrow night up in Ashland again at 6.
Any questions? Now, we'll have a Northern Waters report.
The Northern Waters Board last met on Wednesday, March 20th. The next board meeting will be on May 15th at 4:30 p.m. at Northern Waters. The meeting's open to the public and everyone's invited to attend. Northern Waters students recently completed their ACTs, pre-ACTs, and all required state-forward testing. Students, staff, and board members also hosted our nature hike and local foods dinner on Friday, April 12th at the town forest. We had a lot of attendees and raised over $1,100 for future student projects like overnights and field experiences. We are also working on implementing our sustainable site management plan on the grounds surrounding our school building. This includes installing walking, biking trails, building benches and picnic tables, and increasing plant diversity. Some upcoming important dates at Northern Waters include Project Showcase Night, which is Wednesday, May 8th from 5 to 7 at Northern Waters. Senior capstone presentations Wednesday, May 15th at 5 p.m. at LCO in the auditorium. And senior graduation Thursday, May 23rd at 5 p.m. at Northern Waters. All events are open to the public and we encourage community members to attend. And a thank you goes out to Kathy Moe and the town of Hayward Board for supporting our community event at the recreational forest. Current enrollment is at 41 students. Our enrollment cap for 23-24 is 43, and the enrollment for the 24-25 school year is open until April 26. We're accepting applications through then. You can find them online or reach out to our teacher lead, Kate Witowski, for more information.
Any questions? If not, we'll move on to the District Parent Administration Collaboration Committee.
Am I supposed to give that report? I didn't know. Okay. We met and they got a tour of the facility. Help me remember because it was a couple weeks ago.
We talked about community learning center funding, just like we did at the curriculum meeting, talked about state testing. It was a shorter meeting then.
Yeah, I think that there was concerns about daycare in the community and they were wondering different avenues for the school, and that's what we talked about before and after school care. But it was not a long meeting at all.
Yeah, it was a short one.
Okay. Then we move on to the Indian Education Parent Advisory Committee. You have one?
Yeah, we did. I can give that report. Yeah, we actually had 2 of them. Big topics of discussion is one, election of officers for them, meaning, the tribe needs to be able to make sure they're running those meetings, getting the agendas and everything, so election of officers, which happened at the last meeting. Also, a change that I haven't seen in the 24 years is we had really good student participation, and I don't know if that's because of the time or the location of having it right in this room. We had really good student participation from the high school. So to get the students' perspective, that was really good. And then we also reviewed our Act 31 for those that have been on the board for a while, talking about the magic binder. For those that weren't on the board, they won't remember that or don't know anything about it. But we just reviewed that about concerns that happened in 2017, 2018, and went through that for curriculum mapping of what we're doing. And again, the goal is not to meet the expectation of Act 31 in Hayward, Wisconsin, with 30% of our students that are Native American. It's to way exceed that. So Act 31 is a very litmus, bottom line, foundational type expectation that the state put on. Our goal as a district is to be well above that, and I think we are right now. So that'll be reviewed. But that was a report.
Okay. Then, any questions? Go ahead.
Can you identify the new media in the room?
Oh, that's Mark, do you want to introduce?
Hayward Area Communications, working on putting together a community television station here in Hayward. So just doing some testing for technology.
Mark was at WOJB when I do the radio show out there, and now on we do this and more exposure, so thank you, Stacy.
Okay, then we'll move on to workshop attendee report,
We don't have any.
and then we'll go to your report.
Yeah, Bill, my report is number one, building project update, very similar to what I gave at facilities, except now this phase 3 of the high school is coming along just as quickly as phase 1 and phase 2. You walked in the auditorium now with the subwall there, the one seating section, as you look at the auditorium from this way, that whole side, all the seats are out. So they're moving around very quickly. The old high school office, when you walk in there now, it's hard to even remember where things were, and that was a short time ago. So they're moving very, very quickly. The other two buildings, design development stages are there, and you can see just Groundhog's Day from last year, getting ready for June 5th. Trailers are getting moved into certain spots, dumpsters are getting moved into certain spots, Carl Sanderson trucks are around more. So for Billy, Wade, Rhonda, and Shar, get ready. These other two buildings have experienced it, get ready, and you probably noticed the difference already, would be my guess. So really exciting again to kind of get rejuvenated and like, all right, we're back at it. 3 of our 4 buildings are going to be under construction this year. That's packing up 3 libraries, not 2 libraries. So pretty exciting. So building project updates are right on track. Move out and packing, that right now is, Ms. Hessel, you hit on it. In regards to closing school that day and a half earlier, I'm saying it's because we had nice days and a nice winter, but also it's going to benefit us in moving the move out process and getting us ready back for school in September. So that's going well. New calendar, I talked about that. May 30th at 1 o'clock is the new end date. Radio ads for the graduating class of 2024, working with Steve Kaner and WRLS. We have done this, I think this is since COVID or maybe before COVID, we started where they did announcements all through graduation. We are expecting at least 90% of our staff to record a graduation message and send it to Steve so that he can air that throughout the whole graduation ceremony. And you'll be getting the directions from Steve as well. I think it would be really a good show of faith and accomplishment for our board to send that as well. So you guys are getting that direction. And then the last thing was we had CISA 10 here for our safety audit, I'll call it. For those that were on the board back when the DOJ grant was available and we upgraded our security cameras the last time. It's that time of year again where we have to be very cautious, and actually the board will approve this sometime here in the next couple of months, what our safety plan is. We had done CISA 10 come in again, undercover people that walked around the schools. Obviously difficult with a building project going on. There's going to be some things on our grade report that say in progress because we don't have all of our security cameras and doors up where they're right now, especially at the middle school and intermediate school. But overall, it was very impressive. We had local law enforcement there. CISA 10's goal was they haven't seen something like this in a lot of districts they've been at. They were very impressed with our teamwork of what our team does, and also the small town of Hayward feel when they asked if we had I don't know if it was a threat assessment team. And I'm like, no, the threat assessment team, because there's in bigger schools, there's different levels to see if it's a real threat or not. I'm like, every possible threat we get is a threat. So the threat assessment team is, hey, there might be a threat. So it was really neat to see all of the people sitting around the table. You know, the teacher texts the principal calls me. I'm in a squad car with somebody very quickly, and they didn't get to see that very often. So that was a great meeting. So that's my report.
Any questions? Okay, then we'll move on to donations. Updated donation amount for the Pride Pump donations for November, January, $1,199.94. Beehive Botanicals donated the gift packet to the high school and central office staff. Primary school received $350 donation from Walmart. This donation supported the March challenge of doing the right thing, which goes along with our Be the One initiative in the district. This purchased 8 large ice cream pies and 325 mini pies. The large pies were used to put a pie in 8 teachers' faces. Then each student was able to enjoy a mini pie as a treat. Thank you, Walmart, for celebrating the good happening in the primary school. And the high school Nordic ski team received a donation of $920 from the American Birkebeiner Foundation from the proceeds of their sale of used bibs which were recycled into numerous various types of clothing and sold as a fundraiser. Yeah, so really some interesting things that are happening, and we again appreciate everything that this community does for the school. All the schools. So with that, we'll move on to our action items. So we need to review and approve the Start College Now application.
This was discussed and I think brought to the full board from the curriculum committee. So
I'll make a motion to accept.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Mr. Pelkey, second by Ms. Hessel. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? That is done. So review and approve summer school programming and staffing for June of 2024.
So move.
second.
Moved by Dr. Malcolm, second by Mr. Poppy. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So, we need to approve the substitute pay, 2024-2025 salary schedule.
So move again.
Second.
Okay, moved by Dr. Malcolm, second by Mr. Poppy. Any discussion, Stacy?
Could you just remind of the increase, just on some of these, if you'll just say them out loud, if you don't mind?
You only need that, Derek, or?
Yeah, go ahead. You kind of already hit on it a little bit.
Yeah, I have it right here. Okay, so, again, teachers are gonna stay the same at $150 a day, or $80 for a half day. Teacher aid for regular ed is gonna go from 15.
This is just substitute pay we're approving.
Correct.
Oh, he was, I'm sorry, I thought you were reading.
Yeah, so teacher aid, regular ed is gonna go from $15 to $15.50 an hour. For special ed is go from $15.50 to $16. It's a little bit hard to get special ed, obviously. Secretary admin assistants can go from $16 to $16.50 an hour. Custodians can go from $16 to $16.50 an hour. The teacher hourly rate is going to go from $31.18 to $31.67. The long-term sub rate is going to go from $233.86 to $237.51 a day. I think that's what, at 10 days?
Yeah, after 10
After
days.
10 days is when that kicks in.
And those are both updated off your base salary schedule for teachers.
Okay. Athletics are going to stay the same for ticket takers and supervisors for the hourly rate of $11 an hour for ticket takers and $15.50 for supervisors. That's the proposal.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, then we'll move on to the co-curricular salary schedule for 2024-2025.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Kelsey, second by Mrs. Swenson. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that passes. So now we will review and approve the LCO Head Start 2024-2025 MOU agreement.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Swenson, second by Mr. Poppy. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. So we will, we need the motion to approve our delegate, Mrs. Frank, for the Northern School District Trust for our dental.
So move.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Malcolm, second by Mrs. Swenson. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We'll go on, we've got a letter of retirement from Roger Berger, our librarian.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Can we
Motion
go
by
now?
Dr. Motion by Mrs. Swenson, second by Mr. Kelsey. Any discussion?
Is he just retiring because he has to load up 3?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And then we have a letter of resignation from Nola Blanc, our physical education teacher.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Swenson, second by Mr. Poppy. Any discussion?
Just, we should talk about the football.
Yeah, he will remain the football coach
And weight room.
and the weight room supervisor, so.
His new job is designated to carve out time for him to do that.
Correct, both in the morning and afternoon.
So, All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And then recommendation to hire Mimi Dalby, a middle school track coach.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Kelsey, second by Mrs. Swenson. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? And then information items, the election results for the school board. Yeah.
Yeah, just election results, Stacy Hessel with 1,749 votes, Derek Ham with 1,637 votes, and Craig Gay with 1,342 votes. When we get to our May meeting, next week, and I'll talk about this at the upcoming meeting, but we don't have our quarterly planning next week. So the first week in May, or the first Monday in May, that's when these folks will be all, Craig will come on as a new one, and then we do election of officers and all of that stuff at that point.
Okay, any questions? Don't know how Stacy beat you, but.
What'd you say?
School resource officer update.
Yeah, I don't have a lot. Mr. Kelsey and I met just looking at what we're doing to finalize that contract. So as soon as we have that done, we will come in and sign that last MOU.
Okay.
Yeah, if I may, Mr. Chairman.
Yep.
The city of Hayward has gone through, as well as the Sawyer County and Washburn County, a huge changeover all over the place. We don't have Chief Capero, we've had different, we look at right now, Ryan is now with the county, Officer Poplin. So we are now at the city level having all the number of officers that we're looking at and discussing things. And the contracts that were proposed that Craig has sent over to me, Marshall, our chief, has looked at it, and we're very close to doing it. So I want to let the board know.
Okay, good. Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. There's been a lot of movement around in that field. Okay, then establish special meeting dates as needed.
Touched on it briefly, but just as official, next meeting, next Monday, there'll be no quarterly planning meeting. May 6th is the election of officers, and we will do the ceremony at that meeting, the official ceremony, making sure all 3 board members get recognition. And then the board retreat on May 2nd, we, right now, even with Mr. Gay, we have 100% participation with that. And it's gonna be a good one.
Okay.
And that's all we have for special meeting dates. And then we'll be discussing, for groundbreaking, we're not gonna do another groundbreaking this year for the intermediate school and for the middle school, a different one. It's gonna be all, we broke ground last June 5th, but we're looking at doing the community reveal, kind of ribbon cutting type thing. I know that Hayward School District is hosting Business After 5 on October 24th of next year. Don't know if we're gonna do the ribbon cutting necessarily on that day, but we'll do something big to celebrate all 4 of our buildings for our community. Not positive it'll be on that day, but somewhere along the line, so. It's special meetings, but way down the road. But it's gonna come really, really quick.
Yeah. Okay, and with that, we have, I would look for a motion to convene in a closed session per state statute 19.85 to consider employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation, deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, investing in public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session, considering financial, medical, social, or personal histories of disciplinary data of specific persons, preliminary consideration of specific personnel problems, or the investigation of charges against specific persons, except where paragraph B applies, which, if discussed in public, would likely have a substantial adverse effect on the reputation of any person referred to in such histories or data or involved in such problems or investigations.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Swenson, second by Dr. Malcolm. Stacy?
Yes.
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 Yes. So we are in closed session.
And this is on.